Calling to order the Zoning Board of Adjustment, Raritan Township, New Jersey, regular meeting, March 21, 2024. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act has been satisfied by the placing of a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board at the municipal building, filing same with the township clerk, and transmitting same to the Hardin County Democrat, the Courier News, the Star Ledger, and the Trenton Times. Roll call, please.
Chairwoman, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Here.
Vice Chair, Mr. Rasul Damji.
Here.
Mr. Steve Farcio, he is asked to be excused. Mr. Randy Block.
Here.
Mr. Jim Ferrero.
Here.
Ms. Lindsay Cool-Brungell has asked to be
Here.
excused. Ms. Lorette Cretina. Here. Ms. Donna Drews.
Here.
And Mr. James Miller, he is asked to be excused. Board professionals, Board Attorney, Mr. John Drill.
Here.
Township Planner, Mr. Jeffrey Vaccarella.
Here.
Board Stenographer, Ms. Jackie Clapp.
Here.
And all other board professionals have asked to be excused.
Can I get a motion to approve an
Excused absence.
excused absence of?
I make the motion. I second that.
Thank you. Roll call.
Chairwoman, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Yes.
Vice Chair, Mr. Rasul Damji.
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block.
Yes.
Mr. Jim Ferrero.
Yes.
Ms. Lorette Cretina.
Yes.
Ms. Donna Drews.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to comments, announcements, distribution, correspondence, and minutes. Seeing none. Moving on to resolution, we have two resolutions.
Right.
Am I going with these that are sitting here?
Yep.
Okay,
So
okay. Go ahead.
the first resolution is resolution number 2024-03,
Jeffrey.
and that is the REEP RTL Flemington, which is the target resolution. And this is the draft number 3 with yesterday's date of March 20th, 2024. And we have a couple last minute revisions I want to read into the record that I got from Donna Drews before the meeting.
Okay.
Not a lot of them, but there's a few of them, but they're very good revisions. Good picks. Hold on one sec. First revisions on page 7, paragraph 5. As set forth above, the applicant has requested a D3 variance from ordinance section 296-151F5 to allow 1,020 off-street parking spaces where 1,101 parking spaces are required. Skipping the next sentence, the following sentence is where the revision is going to be made. The sentence as worded now says, allowing for the credit that the applicant will receive for the proposed 39 EV stalls, the applicant proposes 1,020 spaces, leaving a deficit of 81 spaces. First of all, 39 is wrong. It should be 40. And second, we have to make this clear. Because of the credit, we're going to add a sentence. So this sentence is now going to become two sentences as follows. Allowing for the credit that the applicant will receive for the 40 EV stalls, the applicant proposes 120 spaces, leaving a deficit of 81 parking spaces. Then the additional sentence is going to say the total number of paved parking spaces will be 980, to make it clear. Then we go to page 29 and we pick up this same language. This is in a condition. This is comments emanating from the board members during the hearing on the application. This is actually Donna Drew's comments during the hearing to revise the site plan to make it consistent. So now condition E3 on page 29 is going to state 40 instead of 39. EV made ready stalls shall be provided with 2 of the 40 EV make ready stalls installed to the satisfaction of the board professionals, period. Then we're going to add a sentence, revise the plan to reflect that there will be a total of 900 paved parking spaces. Then on page 31, Bottom of the page, we have condition 11. And if you go to page 32, we have condition 12, 13, and 14. This is also at Donna Drew's good point. I missed adding this condition. We're going to add a new condition 12, and then number 12, 13, and 14 as 13, 14, and 15. The new number 12 is going to say, the heading is going to be removal of unauthorized signs and restriping. And then what it's going to say is Kohl's revised their parking layout without prior approval. The stop sign,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the stop signs and the restriping shall be removed and restored to the prior approval condition, period. This condition shall be complied with prior to the issuance of a zoning permit for the proposed development, period.
Can,
Yeah, should it be Kohl's or should it just be the
The-
applicant?
Okay.
Because it wasn't just
Okay, so-
Kohl's, right?
It was just cold.
It was Kohl's?
It
They
was.
did all of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's
Three
fine then.
stop signs there.
Yeah.
That's what Jeff's memo
Okay.
states.
okay, so the target applicant,
No, the target applicant doesn't have to do this. So it's got to be done
okay,
before they get their zoning permit. It's got to be done. That will put, just like, with the cell tower sometimes.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Condition,
That's
this
it.
will ensure that the condition is done because this is not Target's fault.
Right,
It's some other tenant.
right, so it's the landlord that has to make sure that this is done.
That's right.
That's fine, okay.
And I had spoken with Steve at the last meeting, the attorney,
Mhm.
to make sure they do that. And he said he will.
Well, all I can tell you
Yeah,
is
no, no, no.
that's wonderful.
No, no,
That's great.
unless he's
Yeah,
drawing,
no. he
unless he's
wanted-
drawing blood,
He wanted in the writing, but he said he'll make sure he talks to the tenant.
yeah,
Correct.
Yeah,
But,
Okay.
well, you know what? If he says that, I can't believe they inserted that as a condition, I'm going to tell him, oh, no. You actually had a conversation with one of the board members and said it was fine.
yes.
I'm gonna-
okay, so we are going to approve this resolution tonight with the approvals,
With these revisions.
with the provisions, but Steve Grunberg, the attorney, is not aware?
That's right. He's not aware of them. That's all right. He's not aware of, I'll tell you what, watch this. I told him to keep the cell phone with him.
I know he's,
Call Grunberg, Steve, mobile.
Calling
Just like
Bloomberg.
Tara's not here on the next application. If we have a problem, we can call Tara. Steve's not here on this one. I can call her,
okay,
right?
Yeah, and the reason for the 39.
Okay,
versus
Steve,
40
Donna Drews
or
wants
calls
two
for
things revised in the resolution. Can you focus on this now or not?
39.2.
Oh,
It says you
okay.
must-
yeah,
One of
okay,
them
good catch.
is I have the wrong number of EV stalls at 39, make that 40. That's, that's my bad. And she wants a sentence added to make it clear that the total number of paved parking spaces is going to be 980. Not a problem. Right, correct. But that's the correct number. Jeff just confirmed that. And we're going to add a condition at the end. I missed that in Jeff's report. So Donna came in and said, listen,
Yeah.
you got to add a condition to make sure it gets done. And so a new condition number 12 is going to be added. Conditions 12, 13, and 14 are going to be renumbered 13, 14, and 15. And number 12 is going to say, right out of Jeff's report, Kohl's revised their parking layout without prior approval, period. The stop signs and the restriping shall be removed and restored to the prior approval condition, period. This condition shall be complied with prior to the issuance of the zoning permit for the proposed development. Listen, and I will tell you, Rasul on the phone to you, he just said that he spoke to you about
It
this
was the last meeting.
at the last meeting, and you said it would be taken care of. I'm going to put him on the phone. Steve says that all he said was he would mention it to the landlord, and he'd never said it would be done.
Well, now it will be.
The landlord is the applicant.
Put it this way. Okay. He cannot consent to this, but the board, has discretion to do what it wants to do. All right, I'll let you know what happens, okay? Okay, bye.
I would like to add that I sent a notice and their plan is to.
He sent a notice to who?
The, the
Oh, the
landowner.
landlord, you sent a notice of violation?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I'm sure it's gonna get done.
all right.
You don't, in other words, you don't need consent. We try to get consent. You
Right.
don't need consent.
Okay, the other thing that I want to make sure is, did we satisfy John Morgan Thomas, the landscaping issue?
So this is how that, and this is how that ended up. Steve says the board granted the landscaping exceptions. He said that the reason that the board granted it was when the motion was made at the end to grant approval, had to include everything. I said, Steve, the motion, yeah, I said, we were pressed for time. Normally, I make a motion and I say it's, the D variance, the C variance, it's exceptions. I said, we didn't say that. We did you a favor by going fast. So what was approved was what was discussed. The board was not satisfied with the exception. So Steve sent me an email because I said, look, what do you want done? Do you want the resolution adopted tonight? Because if you want to argue about it, we can argue about it at the next meeting. So he sent me an email and he CC'd Taylor, so it's in the file. Good afternoon, John. He sent me this at 12:09 p.m. This will confirm the applicant wishes for the resolution to be adopted this evening as presented. That's everything other than those revisions we just did. In light of other matters not proceeding, I don't plan to be in attendance this evening unless advised to the contrary. And then we spoke on the phone. He said, look, he knows that they were told to work with John Thomas. He said it was his understanding the board granted the exception for the landscaping and then work out the numbers with John Thomas. I said, Steve, what exception did they grant then? How would you know until it's worked out with John Thomas? I said, they denied the exception, told you to work with John Thomas. You guys said you thought you could comply, but if you couldn't, we said, come back. So I told him he could come back if they can't satisfy John Thomas. And then I spoke to John today. He said, listen, try to, do something reasonable, but if doing something reasonable means they need an exception, then they'll come back. You can always support their exception. And I told Steve that if it's an exception only, not amended site plan approval, they don't even have to notice. Because the MLUL doesn't include exceptions in the notice provision unless it's with site plan. So he ended up saying, yes, he wants to get this adopted. And like I said, before these last revisions that you just heard me talk to him about on the phone, he said, yeah, adopt it.
I understand it, and we try to support, we try to move things along, but if he knows nothing else about this board, impervious coverage and landscaping are two things that we are sticklers on. We like to keep the character of our community as best as possible. And I'm just a little taken back that he's taking that position or making those comments, but it is what it is. If he's got to come back for an exception,
No. What's here which mentions that it's gonna be reviewed? Is there anything in writing?
No,
there?
yeah, it says, this thing says you denied those landscaping exceptions.
okay.
He denied that.
We denied.
You
We
denied
denied.
it.
We
That's
denied.
what it
Okay.
says.
Yeah.
He
Good.
wanted to change it to say you granted them.
No.
Well, yeah, okay,
Until it gets
Right,
worked out with
right,
John. Okay.
correct.
all right, so
And I
what-
spoke with John Thomas on the
Yes.
phone today, and Jeff, and all the professionals agree that their understanding of what happened was the board denied the landscape
the
exception.
whole thing came down to time. We were 2 minutes after 10, after going to 10 to 11, another one,
I know, this is.
and
what
we
they
were trying
call
to
it.
satisfy.
No
it.
favor goes unpunished.
Yeah, well,
So we learned the hard way.
all right, so what do you need? An approval to?
Yeah, so I need someone,
To-
Locke, Domji, Drews, Kratina, Cool, Brengel's not here, Miller's not here, or Schaefer, to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-03, the third version, but as further amended to make it a fourth version with today's date on it.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Can I get a vote, please?
Chairwoman, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer,
Yes.
Vice Chair, Ms. Russell Domji,
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block,
Yes.
Ms. Lorette Kratina,
Yes.
Ms. Donna Drews.
Yes.
Okay, moving to the next resolution.
Hold on, I gotta get myself.
Field, you ready? You good?
Hold on, you good? It's done, okay.
Raritan Township Board of Adjustment, Fieldstone at Flemington LLC, Block 40, Lot 3, 57-59 Boris Corner Road, applicant number BOA-19-2022, resolution memorializing grant of a D4 floor area ratio variance, C2 variances, and exceptions and preliminary and final site plan approval to allow for the construction of a two-story self-storage facility with parking and stormwater facilities. Resolution number 2024-04, version 2024-03, version 20, no, excuse me, 20, version 3, redlined.
Okay, this one, red line is acceptable to the applicant.
Okay,
This needs a motion from
okay,
the
so can I get a motion?
same group of people.
So moved. I'll say.
Can I get a vote, please?
Chairwoman, Miss Cynthia Schaefer.
Yes.
Vice Chair, Ms. Russell Domji.
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block.
Yes.
Miss Lorette Kretina.
Yes.
Ms. Donna Drews.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the applications this evening. BOA case number 05-2021. Sumesh Kalapartkal.
Kalapurakal.
Thank you. Apologies. Block 44.02, lot 26, 24 Tiffany Drive. Application time extension request for obtaining a final certificate of occupancy. And I have a letter here that I can read. Dear Taylor, dated March 18, 2024. Please be advised that this office has been retained to represent the applicant in regard to the above matter. I understand that an extension request is presently pending before the Board of Adjustment for Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Kindly forward to us any review reports in advance of the meeting. We will review and be in touch. Of course, if there is any additional information that you require, please feel free to contact me. Stephen Grunberg.
Hold on for a second.
No, John, I apologize. I don't have, it's in his red wall, the other letter from Steve asking for it to be kicked.
Can you read this one?
Sure. Okay. Okay, an updated letter was provided on March 19, 2024. Dear Taylor, in furtherance of my letter of yesterday, and in light of the issues presented in the planner's review correspondence, we request that the extension requested be adjourned to the board's second meeting in April in order for us to review the potential need for amended variance relief and to provide the appropriate notice of a hearing as may be required. We believe this to be a more effective use of the board's time in order that all issues may be addressed at once. If there are any additional information you require, please feel free to contact me. Stephen P. Grunberg.
So. On this one, the applicant absolutely needs an extension, but I'm going to let Jeff explain, because you went out there and took a look. So my understanding is what they installed deviated from what was approved, so they also need an amendment. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I,
So we said to Steve, doesn't make sense to come in for an extension. They're going to ask, where do you stand? And then you're going to say, oh, what was built deviates from what was approved. So you might as well just make the application for the amended variance and an extension at the same time, because otherwise, I don't think they're going to want to extend something where they know the thing wasn't constructed per the plan.
Okay.
So we're going to have to wait for them to,
yeah, the latest update is that they have a survey ready and they intend on submitting very soon, so.
Okay.
before, the only one that's going to be heard tonight is 5 Birds. So you might as well, why don't you do the other 2 first that are also seeking adjournments, knock it out, and then 5 Birds can have the rest of the evening. They're not going to need that long in any event.
Okay. All right. Moving to the third case, BOA case number 09-2023, Jeffrey Randruff, block 44, lot 24.37, 7 Page Place. C variance for exceeding maximum hard surface coverage of 20%. And there is a letter here dated March 21st, 2024. Dear Ms. Vaughn, as you are aware, this office represents the applicant, Jeremy Van Druff, in connection with his application pending before the Board of Adjustments. Please be advised that the applicant hereby withdraws his application in this matter. To the extent a board vote is necessary, we would ask that the board accept our withdrawal or dismissal of the application without prejudice as to any future filings. Please feel free to contact me with any questions. Matthew R. Flynn.
So on this one, if someone files an application, up until when the board starts to hear it, they can withdraw it unilaterally. This thing, the hearing started on December 7, 2023. You have a board rule that says when that happens, they can't just unilaterally withdraw it, so he's asked in the alternative. So I think someone should make a motion like he's requested, dismiss the application without prejudice. Could be a very short resolution memorializing that, so it's clear that it's been dismissed, but without prejudice, so they can refile it if they want to.
Okay, can I get a motion for that?
But that would be, John, only people that were here for that hearing, so.
No,
No?
because, no, anybody, because they don't want to continue.
I'll give the motion.
Thank you.
I second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Chairwoman, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer,
Yes.
Vice Chair, Mr. Russell Adamchi,
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block,
Yes.
Mr. Jim Ferrero,
Yes.
Ms. Lorette Cortina,
Yes.
Ms. Donna Drews.
Yes,
Okay, moving to the next application. BOA case number 08-2023. Applicant is Huntington Storage, Block 44, Lot 24.37, 177 Highway 202, 31 South. Applications for a D variance for outdoor vehicle storage at existing storage facility. And we have a letter.
Can you read this letter into the record? Then I'll have something to say about that.
Okay, March 2024. Dear Taylor, I am in receipt of Jeff Vaccarella's report dated yesterday, March 20th, 2024, which was forwarded by email to me at 4:18 PM yesterday. Unfortunately, there is simply not enough time for the applicant to review and provide a response to these issues in advance of the public hearing this evening. I personally was in a public hearing until 10 PM last night. My expert engineer/planner is presently at a conference in Atlantic City and had planned to leave that conference to attend the public hearing. We had prepared our presentation in advance of the meeting this past Tuesday on the basis that we had all the professional review correspondence. As such, we respectfully request that the hearing this evening be adjourned to the board's next available hearing date. We would appreciate if an announcement would be made so that no new notice of hearing is required. We, of course, extend the time period for the board to act on this application to the end of June 2024. Thank you for your courtesies, Stephen P. Grunberg.
Okay, so it's true that Jeff did send out a report yesterday at about 4:18 PM. But what was in the report, these resolutions, the applicant knew about. I pulled the applicant's use variance application. And on item 4, it says, has there been any previous appeal for a variance affecting these premises? If so, give the particulars. They listed every single resolution, including all the resolutions that were attached to Jeff's memo. I think what happened is it's not that Jeff's memo threw him. I sent him an email after I read Jeff's memo. I think that's what gave him a curveball. And I think that's why they're seeking the adjournment. What my email said was, and I sent a CC to the board professionals. I didn't send one to Taylor. I apologize for that. I said, Steve, I know that the attached memo with attachments was emailed to you yesterday, but please make sure to read it. And at this point, when I'm writing this email, I didn't look at their application to see if he knew about these resolutions until after I sent the email and Steve sent his letter. So in other words, the chronology here is Jeff's memo gets sent out yesterday at 4:18 PM. I review it this morning. At 10:45 AM, after reviewing it, I send Steve an email that says, I know the attached memo with attachments was emailed to you yesterday, but please make sure to read it, especially resolution number 2013-05, which gives a very good and short summary of the history of the approvals and makes it clear that the extension of the underlying approvals ran out on December 31, 2014. As such, I will be suggesting at this evening's meeting that the additional concrete pad that is proposed to remain should be removed. As a condition of approval, the other pad is proposed to be removed to make way for the paved parking space. I will also be suggesting at this evening's meeting that a condition be imposed on any approval that the enhanced stormwater management regulations be applied in this application, even though they are not technically required if the application was for a permitted use before the planning board. I wanted to give you a heads up and not surprise you with this at the meeting. So he got this, read Jeff's memo, then called and said, you know, there's a problem. I got the, what's the name of the guy who's? John Hanson. It's down at the builders convention down in Atlantic City. He wasn't driving back till tonight. So I said, look, just what I'm going to recommend to the board is, because in their application, they say they have these 2 concrete pads because they're for future buildings, because the board had approved future buildings, which the board had. But the approval ran out in 2014. There is no approval for those things. If you leave the pad, if you take the 1 pad out and you put in that outdoor parking area, and quite frankly, this might be the best idea in Raritan Township for self-storage, to have these outdoor things for RVs and everything, so people don't keep them in their driveways, quite frankly, if you can't see it from the highway, which, you know, the testimony will have to be taken on that. But I said, you're still going to be over on impervious coverage. If you're over on impervious coverage, because this is a D variance and it's not before the planning board, if the board wanted to, in my opinion, they could impose enhanced stormwater. If you want to get out of enhanced stormwater, why don't you just get rid of the other pads, since you can't do anything with it anyway? That gets you down below your impervious coverage. You won't need to see variance for that. And that's what he, you know, honestly, I mean, he needs time. He's got to talk to client, he's got to talk to John Hanson and all that. That's what I think caused him to pull off, not Jeff, me.
Okay,
I'm responsible.
okay.
With all that said, when's the next available hearing date?
I could give him 2 options. So I didn't have a chance to speak with him. So
Right.
he could either be on our next meeting, April 4th, or our first May meeting, May 2nd.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we continue the hearing on the 100 and storage application to both April 4th and May 2nd, without need for further notice? Tell him the board did that, and he can pick which one. And he has extended to June 30th, which is enough time.
Mhm.
Does that sound reasonable to the board?
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need a motion on this, but just, you're going to direct the board secretary to contact him? after
Yes.
that?
Please contact Mr. Grunberg.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, moving to the last application for this evening. BOA case number 05-2023. Applicant is Five Birds Farm LLC, Block 86, Lot 26.01, 43 Highway 20231. Applicant is a time extension request of resolution compliance for approval of expansion of a non-conforming use. I have a letter.
Yeah, so do you know if, is Tara coming? Okay, why don't you come up in case they have any questions for you? I don't think they're going to have any.
Do you want me to read the letter?
Yeah, technically, they're an LLC. Tara should be here, but I would think in light of the fact it's only an extension, no harm done. And you don't even need, you know, someone here for these extensions. So we're
Okay.
not going to swear her in unless a question comes up. Hopefully, there won't even be a question. Her letter is pretty clear, the March 12 letter.
Okay, March 12th, 2024. Dear Ms. Vaughn, as you may recall, I represent Five Birds Farm LLC, the applicant noted in the above reference resolution. I am in receipt of Mr. Vaccarella's compliance review letter dated February 29, 2024, and Mr. Koriniak's compliance review letter dated March 4, 2024. Such compliance review letters were issued in response to revised plans submitted by the applicant on February 20th, 2024. I had previously requested a 6-month extension to comply with the items noted in such letter and complete the required improvements. However, after consulting with Mr. Drill and Mr. Vaccarella, they have confirmed the March 21st, 2024 deadline only applies to the plan revision, signing of the plans and recording of the associated deed restriction. Therefore, I am revising my request to only be for a 90-day extension. Based on the above reference compliance review letters, the applicant is required to make further minor revisions to the plan regarding the parking area. After such plans are submitted, such will have to be reviewed by the board professionals and then signed. Additionally, a deed restriction must be reviewed by the township attorney and recorded with the Hunter County Clerk's Office. Applicant's engineer anticipates submitting further revision plans within 1 week of the date of this letter. I have also been in contact with the township attorney regarding the required deed restriction. Therefore, applicant is requesting the 90-day extension to ensure that the revised plans can be reviewed, approved, and signed, and the required deed restriction returned, recorded from the Hunter County Clerk's Office. Please advise if this request can still be placed on the board's next agenda. Very truly yours, Tara A. St. Angelo.
Okay, so this one is pretty easy. The approval resolution is number 2023-06. And condition 1 says, the applicant shall revise the site plans referenced above by drawings and/or notes to the satisfaction of the board engineering expert and the board planning expert to incorporate following comments, and the applicant shall have until March 21, 2024 to do that. They want an extension 90 days from March 21 to June 21, 2024.
So is that just a miss? That's all it says?
That's, at the end of the
Okay.
day, that's all it is.
Okay, great, because,
Yeah, just like a no-brainer one.
okay. So,
Does someone make a motion to grant the extension?
So moved. I'll say.
can I get a vote?
Chairwoman, Miss Cynthia Schaefer,
Yes.
Vice Chair, Mr. Russell Domji,
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block,
Yes.
Mr. Jim Ferrero,
Yes.
Miss Lorette Cretina,
Yes.
Miss Donna Drews.
Yes.
Okey dokey.
That was easy.
Okay.
Okay.
Hearing no more applicants for this evening, I think we can get a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Second.
All, anyone opposed? Okay,
I don't really need to keep